Hello card fighters, welcome to Vanguard Central Academy. In this video of how to play, we are going to be going over how to set up the game rules, how you win, how you lose, and things like that. So let's get started. We can move our attention to the playmat. This comes straight from the Gold Paladin start deck. So you're going to be able to get this nice little playmat. I always really like these. I wish they had more like actual mats that had the rear guards and stuff, because these are super cool. I really like all the art and design in this game. So things we need to start off with is our deck. We have our strides or our G zone. So we're going to start with these two. You're going to notice over here there is a deck zone. So we'll put our deck over here. We'll put our strides over in the G zone over here. When you use your strides, they're going to be, let's move this a little bit, we'll move the mat a bit. There's this open spot. When you use a stride, it gets put back and it gets put back face up. So we'll just explain the basic layout of the mat. So we have here our Vanguard circle. That's going to be where all the action happens. And we have our rear guard circles where you're going to call your allies to help you out. And then over here, we have the damage zone. This is where you put cards which signify how much damage you have, just like this. I've seen a few people place their damage here, do some funny things with that, but we'll just, that's usually how damage is going to happen. Face down, face up. Depends on whether you have used skills or not. So other zones to take note of. Over here is the Guardian Circle. We've mentioned before how each card has a shield value. You're going to place that card sideways in the Guardian Zone, the Guardian Circle, and that's how you, signify to your opponent that you want to guard with this card. And then the other zone over here is going to be the drop zone, and that's like your graveyard if you've played other games, your discard, something along those lines. After you've used the card, say you use the card to guard with it, it's going to go to the drop zone. You're probably not going to be able to get it back unless you're playing a certain style, a certain clan. So drop zone is going to be where cards go after you've used them. And lastly is the special trigger zone. The trigger zone is going to be where trigger effects activate. So whenever you check the top card of your deck, doing a check, so a damage check or a drive check, that usually means placing the top card of your deck face up in the trigger zone. That way you get to check if it's a trigger or not, activate that trigger's effects, and then put it where it needs to go, whether that's into your hand or into the damage zone. And drive checks are going to be when you reveal a card, put it into your hand, and then damage checks will be when you reveal the card and then put it into your damage zone. So that's pretty much it for the zones of the game. Let's talk about how the game is going to be set up. We've already got our stride zone and our deck in the right position, but before we shuffle up our deck, what we're going to want to do is we're going to take that starting Vanguard card, that normal unit grade 0 that we've talked about briefly in the cards type video. You're always going to have one of these, or you usually have one of these in your deck. There are some exceptions. Usually there's exceptions to everything, so keep that in mind. So you can place this guy, and you're going to start with him right on the Vanguard circle. You're actually going to have him face down, so you don't reveal anything to your opponent and they can't get some ideas about what your strategy is. Note that it can be any grade 0 unit. So if you choose, you can in fact use a grade 0 trigger as your starting Vanguard, though it's not really recommended. So you've got your starting Vanguard out, you've got your stride zones, and you've got your deck here. So once you've had your starting Vanguard, you're just going to shuffle up your deck like so, preferably a more thorough method, like a riffle shuffle this way, or doing it like a normal deck of cards, but I don't really want to bend these cards, so I'm just going to go ahead and shuffle like so. What you're going to start by doing is drawing your first hand. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. That's going to be your hand. You're okay to look at them right now, but before anything else happens, you're going to go ahead and start a game of rock, paper, scissors, or any sort of random method of choosing how your opponent goes. Usually we just do that rock, paper, or scissors. That just tends to be what we do. You could definitely use a dice, calling high or low, even or odd, whatever you prefer. Once you've decided who's going to go first and who's going to go second, the winner has to go first, by the way. It's just, you have to decide randomly, and if you decide randomly and then choose, it's not completely random. So, now you've got your 5 cards. What you're going to want out of these 5 cards is a grade 1, a grade 2, and a grade 3. In our hand currently, we only have grade 1s and 1 grade 3. So what we can do is we can mulligan. You're always able to mulligan. You don't have to not have anything. So now that we've decided who's going first, we're going to mulligan. Since we do want the grade 1, 2, and 3, we're going to go ahead and take our extra 3 grade 1s. We'll put them back into the deck, shuffle up some more, and then we can draw back that same amount of cards. So since we put 3 back, we'll draw back 3. If you put 4, you get 4, and so on and so forth. Other games might have you lose a card, so you could only draw back 1 less than the cards you put back into the deck. But in Vanguard, we're going to draw back the same amount. So now we'll draw back our 3 cards. We got 1, 2, 3. Unfortunately, we didn't get a grade 2. That's just how things go sometimes. But there's always a chance we'll draw it or drive check it before our chance to go. And there are some ways to correct if you don't have the right grade in your hand. So now that you've got your starting hand set up, you've decided who's going first, you did your mulligans, you got everything a-okay, you're going to go ahead, look at your opponent, say stand up the Vanguard, and flip up your starting Vanguard with your opponent. So that's going to signify that you guys are ready to start the game. The player who goes first is going to go ahead and start their turn. And that's pretty much it for setting up the game. So now that we've set up the game, you've gotten to the point where you're ready to start the game, we need to talk about how the game can end, right? And there's 2 ways the game can end. Obviously, you can either win or you can lose. And we'll talk about how you lose/win first, and that's going to be the damage zone right here. We mentioned how you can put when you deal damage to your opponent, they're going to end up with cards in their damage zone. That's how you signify how much damage you or your opponent has. And what's going to happen is we have 3, 4, 5, and the last damage you can take is the 6th damage. So once you've taken that 6th damage, that means you are out. Game over, you lose. Vice versa, if you deal 6 damage to your opponent, that means you got the game. Good job. Sealed the deal. So that is the first and major win condition of the game, is that you want to get your opponent to 6 damage. And it's kind of cool, the lore behind that is these obviously are not just any old cards, they're units, whether they're trigger units or normal units. So once you've taken your 6 damage, your 6th unit gets taken out. That's kind of meaning oh man, our commander has let 6 of us hit the damage zone. We need to retreat. We gotta bounce. And that's game over. That's the end of the battle. Or end of the card fight, right? So that's one way that you can either win or lose the game. The other way is with your deck. We'll just, whoop, there goes the deck. We only have 1 card left in deck now. Uh-oh. What happens when we get 0 cards in deck out? We lose, as per some other games as well. Once you deck out, you lose. The, kind of trick behind Vanguard that's a bit different than other games is right when this last card leaves the deck is when you lose. Some games like Magic the Gathering, if you've played that, will say once you try to draw a card and there's none left, then you lose. But for Vanguard, it's going to be right when this guy leaves. That's the game. That's game over. Thank you all for watching. I hope you learned a lot how to set up the game of Vanguard, how to draw your hand, how to do a proper mulligan, all the different zones of the game, how you win, how you lose. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Maybe if you're more experienced, let me know if I missed anything that you think I should include in this video. I can do a retake sometime in the future. And thank you to all the Patreons on Patreon who help support the channel, keep these videos coming. If you do want to become like them and help out and help support the channel, please go to patreon.com/VCAcademy. It will be in the link below. And if you just want to keep coming back for more sweet how to plays, learning videos, tips and tricks, hit that subscribe button. If you want, hit the bell. You'll get that little notification so you can get emails, get other types of notifications when I post videos so you don't miss a single thing. And that's about it. Thank you again for watching. Keep on having fun, keep on learning, and I'll see you in another video.